Let's get it, Mo. What's going on, Mo? How are you doing? Let me know in the comments before we even start this. If you're out there and you're a musician, if you're busking, if you're writing, if you're performing this month, this week, it's December, it's gig season, Yom Kippur, you know what I'm saying? So how are you guys doing? Now, the greatest thing about this whole interweb thing that we have in front of us is the ability to communicate, become a community, stay aware, stay on top of things, and understand what's going on with one another in mass and fast, real time, right? If you know anything about Twitter, that's basically what that is. But what I wanted to kind of chat with you guys as musicians is what are your goals as an individual musician going forward? Now, I'm prefacing that I'm in the United States, so most of this conversation is going to be from that perspective, but this could be pretty much for any musician worldwide. Why are you and what are you doing with your time as a musician, right? And so when I think about the people I've met as a musician from middle school and I've gone through college and I've performed professionally and I've written my own independent music. The farthest I've gone was maybe independent gigging. I haven't done like major record labels and things like that. But either way, whatever your goal is with music, let me know in the comments because what I'm noticing going forward is a lot of you musicians aren't really clear on how to navigate being a brand and how to navigate sales and how to really navigate um an industry, meaning like a community of people. So for example, I see a lot of musicians, producers, beat makers, singers, songwriters, female, male, it doesn't matter, old, young. They'll develop a brand on social media or things like that, but a lot of it is individualized. So for example, I'll use myself for example. Like when you look up DameSmiff, you'll see me in a lot of different platforms and places and things like that, doing different things. But it's not necessarily just me about me and all about me. It's just that I'm active everywhere doing all these things. And when it comes to trying to hone in who you are as a musician, I noticed that a lot of other musicians, their brand per se is just the skill. That's literally the thing they do, right? So I say musician when people ask me my occupation and title because it's general enough for me to explain all of my skill sets, but it's specific enough for you to understand where I belong, right? So I'm not going to say, oh, I'm in engineering when I can engineer. I can definitely commit to some skills in software engineering, musical engineering, I mean, audio engineering and things like that. But I'm not going to call myself an engineer because what it does is it makes me an engineer. Musician puts me in an industry of music. And then because of my skills, I now have all these broad skills that I can fit within there, right? And I don't really meet a lot of people with that as a goal in mind outside of maybe like somebody who just wants to work in music, right? So you'll see a lot of people who run blogs, you'll see a lot of reporters, journalists, just content creators, current events, maybe music reviewers and things like that. Those are all people that are kind of uh they totally make up the music industry, but they're not musicians. You know what I'm saying? They're not creating the sounds of the things they're reacting to. And the way they're able to manifest themselves in different opportunities. If you're a journalist, you can find yourself on ESPN one year, but then find yourself doing maybe a hip hop blog or an independent record label the next year, or you can maybe run independent media out of your own platform. So the way you're able to do that is because you have a lot of different skills outside of the one thing you're branding yourself for. So as I'm scrolling through maybe like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media, TikTok, and I see musicians and they're like doing their thing with the content, I notice it's not really expressive of all their skill sets, right? So I'll compare a person I'm talking about in this video to a next level, to a next level expert, right? So let's say you have somebody who's like a upcoming artist, right? And they're we'll use a common one, a rapper, right? They're from the South, and they got a little bit of buzz. They're old enough to drink. Let's say we'll make them around like that, demographic, right? And so when he's marketing himself, I notice most of the record labels that are signing men and women that age in the rap industry, they're not necessarily targeting them for their ability to be good businessmen. It's really about understanding their utility to the record label. Now, you may say, all right, well, that's kind of like what's par with the course. And you're right. But the only problem is from my anecdotal experience, I've gone through college as a musician for music and understanding all of the soft skills you need to be successful as a musician. I can see that there is a low standard for what your favorite record labels may want from you as a musician. Now, they don't have to teach you and promote you and make you the best musician you need to be. And that's the kind of thing I'm here to talk about today for you, is that I notice a lot of musicians don't expect highly of themselves as far as the work ethic, but they do expect highly of themselves as far as the reward, right? So I'm speaking to you on this camera with this microphone, having done music for going on 15 years now independently. And my expectation has been pretty much on par with my 15 years of doing music. What I notice people struggle with their music career is that there's some kind of connection they're trying to make with their skill and how we value it. And you can't force people to value something. It just has to tell you it's valuable. It is what it is. They are the market, right? And so I'll give you a quick rundown. Like, I've started out as a student, in middle school or whatever, learning how to read and write music. So I started out doing music theory. So then as I started getting better at music theory in class, that allowed me to think and create my own music, right? So I was able to focus on ideas and then make them complete. So I would go from just freestyling in class to writing a verse to recording the verse and then laying it into a formatted song and then turning that into a track. And then fast forward years later, now I can make albums from nothing. I can make the instrumentation to a complete album product, right? And I noticed in order to get you to that point that I've gone through the schooling of music, a record label would have to put a lot of investment into you. And for them to have to do that, that's not even a conversation, right? So when it comes to getting signed and things like that, they already want you ready to go, putting in work and doing what you need to do. And it's honestly more of a partnership. They're not really supposed to carry you anyway, right? And so how are you marketing yourself as a musician just to the world? Because let's say whatever record label you like, you may not even be into hip hop. You may be into rock. You may be into death metal. You may be into folk music, Latin jazz. It can be whatever. There's a record label for you. All they do is house your product. What makes your house or your shelf better than theirs? That's all you really have to solve as a musician, right? So if you want to make it pretty general, you have places like Spotify, iTunes, and all these other places. What makes those places better than you having your own .com? And nothing really is the difference. The only difference is that you believe that the massive group of people that they've amassed or that they've collected at Apple and iTunes, the big platforms, you believe that everybody there values you. And that's not true. There's probably, as a single individual musician, there's probably a good 5,000 people that would pay you every time you perform, and you just have to find them. And the only way you're going to find them is to be where you need to be at the right time. For many of you, that kind of sounds like I need to go out and go get them. That could be one way. And for other people, that could be I need to build a headquarters. The greatest example of an independent headquarters that I've seen to this day has been the Strange Music record label with Tech Nine and Travis, because understanding that if you build the castle, then you can send your troops out, right? A lot of you as musicians think that you can be this kind of like king that just kind of roams the world and just conquers all the time, not realizing that a lot of the power is in network, a lot of the power is in resource, a lot of the power is in skill set, and not necessarily just being good on your instrument or rapping really well. That doesn't help you, be a well-rounded, successful musician. So if this was something that kind of resonated with you, let me know in the comments, because I'm just kind of letting you know how I see most musicians that I interact with. It's, in a layman's term, a employee employer mindset that many musicians have, and most people are looking to be employed. So how would you edge out your competition when it comes to that mindset? Let me know. If you enjoyed this, hit like and share. And I'm going to be making more videos like this in the future. And check that link in the bio for anything you're looking for from me as far as whatever it is. And I'm out.